Welcome back to Namely 90s Minute. Every week we look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of the release of the latest adaptation of The Crow, we're looking back at the original movie adaptation, The Crow. The Crow is a 1994 gothic superhero film starring Johnny Murata from Showdown in Little Tokyo, the fourth Ghostbuster, Ernie Hudson, and Miss May Lee East from Wild Wild West. The story starts on Devil's Night in a crime-ravaged Detroit when a young woman is essayed and seriously wounded while her rock musician fiancé is shot and thrown to his death from the window of their loft apartment, and the woman dies on the way to the hospital. Then narration kicks in with the legend of the Crow that carries souls to the land of the dead, but if someone dies in tragic circumstances, the Crow can resurrect them to set things right. So a year later, at their gravesite, they're visited by a young girl they looked after, and a crow who taps on Eric's grave and resurrects him. He goes back to his apartment disoriented and has flashbacks of the murders and remembers that they were targeted because of a crime lord who was forcing evictions in their apartment, which they were protesting. He also realizes any injuries he gets are immediately healed, so he puts on his best Kiss face paint and goes to fight some crime with the Crow at his side. The Crow leads Eric to one of his murderers and he stabs him to death, then recovers his fiance's engagement ring from a pawn shop and blows it up. He finds another one of his killers doing drugs with the strung-out, estranged mother of the young girl they looked after, and gives the killer an OD while purging the drugs from the mother and telling her to go take care of her child. He explodes the next to last of the thugs that killed him and sets his sight on the final one, who is with the gang leader's lover and half-sister because Ick, and the gang leader's right-hand man, all discussing how they're going to burn Detroit down on Devil's Night. Eric kills the final thug and a gunfight erupts, while the top criminals leave and the half-sister lover deduces that the Crow is giving him powers. Eric, satisfied with his vengeance on the low-level thugs that killed him, gives the engagement ring to the girl and returns to his grave. So the evil trio abducts the girl and takes her to an abandoned church, and Eric gets alerted to this by the Crow, so he heads to the church, but gets ambushed and the Crow is wounded, leaving Eric vulnerable to attacks now. The half-sister lover tries to steal the Crow's power, but it claws her eyes out and causes her to fall to her death from the bell tower. The gang leader badly wounds Eric, but Eric puts all the girl's pain into the gang leader, which makes him unstable and then falls to his death, impaled on a gargoyle. Eric returns to his grave and is greeted by his fiance's ghost to lead him back to the afterlife. Sometime later, the girl visits the graves again and the Crow gifts the ring back to her. And that's The Crow in a Namely 90s Minute. More or less. Join us again next Tuesday for another Namely 90s Minute. Remember, you can always hear these a day early and full episodes of Namely 90s on all major podcasting platforms. And most of the small ones too. Please subscribe and do all the other YouTube things. Bell ringing, share, like, subscribes, that sort of stuff, and we'll catch you next time.